Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to season 2 of the Township Talks, hosted by uMaStandi. Today, I will be your host, your presenter. For those who joined us in the previous season, I took us through the session on construction and what to look out for, and how to smartly plan your construction going forward. But with it, being season 2 now, I'm sure a lot of you are joining for the first time. So we thought for this first kickoff session that we will begin with the application process. To introduce myself, Manager Nqobi Malinga. I am one of the portfolio managers at uMaStandi. In each region, you'll be able to contact someone similar to myself who will be able to guide you through how we work and hopefully, be your financing partner in pursuing township property entrepreneurship. So, this is a live recording, but please feel free and you are welcome to add some comments. We would love to hear your questions, to which we will answer them as we go along through the presentation. It's going to be more of a discussion, so I urge you to add your comments should something not be clear, something not make sense, something not really tie up. Feel free to ask. I've got my lovely production team here that will grab your questions and post them to me. But to kick things off, for those that are on, let's start posting where you're joining us from. Where are you joining the live from? Come, Anima guys, so I know you in the room. I know you in the room. Orlando West, where we at? Katlehong, Mamelodi, Joburg, Alex. Where we? Come, guys. I'm not starting until I see something. Eric, we see you. Eric from West Rand. Eric, I see you. Eric from West Rand. We got people from Pretoria in the room. I think it's Christo. You acknowledged, my brother. Kempton Park, stand up. Kempton Park, stand up. Right next door. Kempton Park, I'm not seeing enough activity from you guys, actually. Where are the applications? Kempton Park, come on. You guys are right by the airport. So many opportunities. Massive industry for warehousing. All those, come on, guys. There's opportunities everywhere. It's time to take that first step. Engage with us. We've got Yolanda from Jozi. Lindo from Durban. Durban, stand up. Tepo from Sosha. Come on, Sosha, we there. Sosha, I was there this week looking at a deal. Tepo, I want to see something. After this, I want you in the inbox, in my emails. Tepiso, Freedom Park. I said Devland. Freedom Park, beautiful area on the trajectory. Freedom Park's an interesting neighborhood because you could tell when you go there, it started off as an RDP neighborhood. But over time, people have been putting their own money into their properties, seizing the opportunity. Also not too bad in terms of the proximity to UJ's campus. So a lot of student accommodation also happening in Freedom Park. All right, guys. So to recap, season 1, we took you through construction. We took you through the legal process of how to register a bond. We took you through deceased estates. For this new season 2, we've got a whole lineup of shows that have been prepared in the background, this being the first initial one, the application process. So nothing too technical, but please feel free to ask your questions should you not be clear. So, how do we start? How do you begin to become uMaStandi or a partner of uMaStandi? You need to identify the opportunity, guys. You need to look around you. What is happening in your neighborhood? You know, a lot of us grew up with ugogo managing, whether it's the garage that's been converted into a bachelor unit, whether, you know, there's been a temporary structure that has been developed to seize the opportunity. There's a massive housing shortage, guys, and the government can't do it all by themselves with RDP programs and social housing. You need to also seize the opportunity, because there's multiple benefits in developing your properties to accommodate affordable housing, to accommodate bachelors, to accommodate young couples. Step one, you need to identify the opportunity. Is there a demand for you to provide housing? You know, that's your number one indicator. Is there a demand for you to provide this proposed structure? Because there's no use developing the property, but there was no actual demand, and now you're stuck there with a beautiful structure without tenants. So pay attention. Don't undermine whether there's real demand in your neighborhood, and you don't necessarily have to be in the main road, on the main road, etc. Although those are very fantastic opportunities. If you can, for any reason, be along a main road, main street, intersection, close to public amenities that have a high traffic, so shopping mall, hospitals, all those areas where it's quite obvious that in terms of the building marketing itself, it's a no-brainer. But then also just knowing if your neighborhood is highly dense, and if there, you know, another also indicator is seeing umkhukhu, a brand new one being erected, a brand new temporary structure popping up. That means there's a reason. There's a housing shortage and guys don't have places to stay. They seize an opportunity to build their own things. But we want to steer away from that. You know, a company like uMaStandi, why we've decided to join the lending processes in the township was to improve the standard of living in the backyard or a alternative accommodation. Away with temporary structures, guys, and let's start providing the people what they want. People want to have, you know, the decency of their own toilet and shower, the safety of burglar doors and, you know, brick and mortar walls. So identifying the opportunity is a crucial step, number one. Will this thing work? And, you know, on the financial side, will this thing work? In one word, is feasibility. What is the probability of the project working? So you need to start understanding what are the rentals going for in your neighborhood, and what would those collections be? Because ultimately you're going to need to develop the structure, which is going to come at a cost. So will there be enough income generated to service your expenses? That being whether you use a financial institution like ourselves, or you've just dumped in your own savings, or wherever you've received the funding or the financing from to develop your properties. Is it going to be feasible? What are collections level? What type of units achieve types of rental income? So a room where you don't have your own toilet, you don't have your own shower, you don't have your own kitchen, and you're sharing, will not, you know, achieve the same rental as a bachelor unit. Again, an obvious analysis, but one not to underappreciate. So identify the opportunity. What is the potential of the opportunity? And how much is it going to cost to put this project together? Guys, when you come to uMaStandi, those in the chat, Abo Christo, Eric, Western, Tsepiso, Tsepo, Lindo from Durban, when you come to our company, you know, we love it when an applicant isn't starting from scratch. We will certainly help you, but we love it when you've been thinking about this. You know how many units you want to develop. You already know more or less how much it's going to cost. Just by doing the research, maybe asking your next door neighbor, how much did this thing cost to build? And who was your contractor? And how was it working with him? And I'll get into that now. Identify the opportunity and understand more or less how much is it going to cost to become an uMaStandi? Then, once you have that, draft information, high level, it doesn't have to be the most technical, presentation when you come to us. Come with a business plan where you talk about hey, you don't need to do all of that, guys. We just need you to understand what it is you want to do and more or less how much is it going to cost. Because thereafter, the uMaStandi team can look to assist you by preparing a feasibility study. So, step one, look around what's going on and is there a need for this unit to be developed, for 10 bachelor units, for 20 one-bedroom units. Is there that need? You will then be able to contact uMaStandi through our various platforms. We've got a website, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, or call directly into the office and someone will assist you with at least starting the process of the feasibility, which is the crucial key part. Because guys, the nature of the engagement between uMaStandi and yourselves is that we are going to be a lending partner. We are registering a bond, so it's a commercial loan. It's a mortgage where we register a bond on the property, but we have your interests at heart just to make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, and that property takes time. It's a patient game. The returns are going to be marginal in the beginning. So your vision has to be very forward thinking. Your vision has to be very forward thinking about the benefits of enjoying this. Come to the uMaStandi office via whichever platform it was, phone call me directly. And the first part you'll be met with is, okay, just for example, Eric from Midrand. So Eric, how much would you like? What do you want to do? How much is this thing going to cost? Because I think what gets misconstrued or conception outside of our company is that we're going to build the project for you and rent the project and manage it. We don't work like that. We are a financial institution and we fund the property. We do guide you. We do try steer you in the right direction just so that you don't make mistakes, obvious mistakes that would be obvious to us but maybe not necessarily to you. But feasibility is the first process, because if the project is not feasible, then we don't have a deal. We're not going to say, give you, you want to build 10 bachelor units for 20 million rand. Your collections are going to be 20,000, but the installments is going to be 30,000. The project's running at a loss. That is not how we work. So feasibility, will the project wash its own face? And when we say wash its own face, that means cover the operating expenses. So that's your municipal account. The cleaner who's going to come in every 2 weeks, the electricity, recoveries on your water, insurance, building insurance. Building insurance is very important, guys. Your monthly maintenance or annual maintenance that's going to take place when a tenant moves out, or you're going to prepare the units for a new tenant. All these things need to be calculated and assessed in terms of feasibility. Is the income collected going to be enough and still make a profit after paying all these things? Once that passes and checks through, we move on to the next step, because now the deal is deemed feasible. Any questions so far on the feasibility? And if perhaps one of the ladies in production could read it out to me.
Sure. That one? No.
Okay. You're about to see the lovely Buhle from marketing. Buhle, come on, Buhle, stand up!
Hello, everybody.
Yes,
we do have some questions, Nqobi.
Able.
Makali wanted to know if we provide finance in Vaal Vanderbijl Park.
Hey, Makali. So we've tested the Vaal area before, particularly on the Tough side. Some of you might know of Tough, but Tough is a sister company to uMaStandi. We're essentially the same company. However, the difference between the two is the areas of finance. uMaStandi is focused on the townships, whereas Tough is focused on your inner city and surrounding areas. So, Tough did go into Vanderbijl and Vaal. And essentially is that it wasn't the strongest of markets. So yes, we will still do an opportunity there. If the deal stacks up, you've got, for whatever reason, maybe you've got a 10-year agreement with some company to hold the staff. So where the deal makes sense, we certainly will engage and look forward to doing the project. As it stands right now, uMaStandi is not in the Vaal. uMaStandi is not in Vanderbijl Park. But it's not to say we won't do it. We have tried it before on the Tough side, and it wasn't necessarily the strongest market, so it's made us a little bit hesitant to go back, but that doesn't cancel out the next deal. Should you have a project that you really want to pursue, you're passionate about, you've done the feasibility, you've analyzed the opportunity, there's a real demand for people wanting to stay there, feel free to talk to us and we will take you through the process of application. Is there another one?
Yes, awesome. Thanks, Nqobi. Sia says, does the property need to be rezoned to commercial?
That's a fantastic question, Sia. So guys, zoning is very important in pursuing property entrepreneurship. For those maybe where zoning is a bit of a new concept or you're not too familiar what this is. So each earth has particular land use rights, residential, suburbs, townships, places where you see housing, homes. Those are, for the most part, always zoned as a type of residential. Residential is further broken into residential 1, residential 2, residential 3, residential 4, each coming with its own land use rights. And land use rights essentially is, self-explanatory. What can you do on this property? So a lot of people have densified on their properties, have built backyard dwellings, or have demolished the main house and built beautiful 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom bachelor units. However, you could find that people have built on these stands illegally. So how do you legalize this? You want to understand what is the current land use rights. And I'm sure some of you in here are probably, I'm speaking about your example where you've maybe not necessarily engaged with the city on your project. There is a route to remedy it. But, I guess to answer you directly is that, commercial is referred to as business. And business does allow for multiple residential properties to be built on that stand. Do you have to have it zoned as business? No. Within residential, you are also permitted certain land use rights. Residential 1, depending on the municipality, they also change. Where residential 1, sometimes you can say you can build two cottages, but those 2 cottages can't be bigger than the main house. Sometimes they will only allow 1 additional dwelling unit. And then you've got different neighborhoods where they are zoned. And just for those who want to know what is the perfect zoning, I would suggest if you can get something zoned as residential 3, residential 4, or business. All those 3 zonings are very conducive to multi-let properties, developing more than a main house. So building 6 to 12, 10 to 20 and above. But please pay attention to what your proposed stand zoning rights are. Even if you're buying a property, so it's maybe you don't own it yet, but it's a project or property you want to buy in the future. When you speak to the estate agent, they need to ask the seller, do you know what the zoning is? This information is available also online on City of Johannesburg's e-services, and we can take you through that maybe in a different session on how to understand what are the current zoning rights of a proposed stand. But please, it's very important, so that's a great question. To develop more than a main house and to add, let's say, starting from 6 units and above, it is very likely your property or your stand has to be zoned residential 3, residential 4, business, or the equivalents. There might be other, particular zoning rights that I'm not too aware of, but are the equivalents of that when I'm referring to Res 3, Res 4, and business in the scheme of Johannesburg's town planning.
Thank you, Nqobi.
Yeah. No.
Okay, let's take one more question from Mabilu. Mabilu says she visited our offices in Braamfontein and she got the process going. However, the issue was their parents owed some rates and taxes to the COJ. Therefore, uMaStandi cannot do the bond until he or she settles the municipality.
That is 100% correct, and it's not a uMaStandi thing. With any property transaction, and maybe let me take one step back, in that question that you've just raised, Buhle, is that uMaStandi lend to juristic entities. We lend to companies only. We're a commercial lender, and we don't lend to natural persons. So, when you engaged with whoever it was in the office, and that was the feedback about the rates need to be cleared, that is a standard procedure in property transfers. If I'm buying a property from Buhle as the seller needs to clear her utility account. And this happens a lot. This is a bit of a stumbling block with some of our clients, some of our inquiries, is that they've, planned out the entire thing. We've got the bill of quantities, we've got the architectural drawings. There's another point that we only finance up to 80%, so they've got the equity requirements. And a stumbling block or something, a bit of a bump would be clearance figures. A lot of guys are not paying their municipal accounts. It's a culture that has been created. Don't know where it starts from, but that's what it is. And it's so outside of uMaStandi, even if you had to sell your property, your main house, your house you live in, to a new buyer, you have to clear that municipal account. So it going for years, if it's your family home and you've been living there for 20 years, or your family's been there for 20 years and you haven't been paying that 700 Rand a month, come 20 years later and it's time to densify the property, you're met with a clearance figure upwards of 300,000, 400,000 rands, which is an issue. Nonetheless, there are solutions for this. Typically the conveyancing attorneys, so more directly to you, Ikamubani, Sia, it wasn't Sia. Mabilu.
Yes.
Mabilu, how that blockage gets dealt with is if you aren't able to clear the amount from your own funding sources, the transferring attorneys should know of a bridging facility. uMaStandi has one too. Well, or rather TUF has one. Has a bridging facility. And what this is a short-term unsecured loan to clear that figure. But then how to guarantee that that short-term loan gets paid when the money gets issued to the conveyancing attorneys, who are then going to distribute the funds, everyone gets their monies, they will then settle that bridging facility. So if your question was, how do you get past that stumbling block? Unfortunately, it has to be paid. Whether you use your own money, your savings, you borrow money from family members or friends, or you apply for a bridging facility. there is no getting around clearing that figure when it comes to, bringing it back to working with us. If you want to pursue a deal with us, and we need to either buy a property or transfer an existing stand into the company, we have to clear the utility bill. It's not our law, it's not our process, it's a standard process in property.
Thank you,
Got
Nqobi.
another one?
I think, this is quite engaging. So let's carry on with the questions.
Sure.
We have Lenny, and Lenny is asking, what's the turnaround time from application to doing the feasibility study and the possibilities of funding from there?
So Lenny, application, there would be a lot of engagement before you apply. Okay? We'd have that first conversation, whether it's on the phone call or it's in person or it's an email correspondence. And I know you want to get to how long is this thing going to take, but there's different parts of this journey. The first conversation to assess, is the deal probable? Where are you? Do you want to build emakaya or do you want to build in Turfentine? That will guide us where we're going. But the answer you're looking for is from you signing an application form to you getting an approval from us. It will take us 21 days. So once you've planned everything, we're not talking about planning. You've signed the application form. You said, Nqobi, here's my pack. Here's everything you needed for the application. When can I hear from you? 21 days, within 21 days. It can be sooner than that, where you'll get a phone call from your portfolio manager, alerting you that the deal has been approved. So once we receive application form and all the supporting docs, it shouldn't be more than 21 days.
Thank you, Nqobi. Deboho is asking if we could please look at Bronkhorstspruit.
Okay, Teboho, you heard me in the beginning. You heard me. If Bronkhorstspruit, there's an opportunity. You see, another identification, and maybe, I guess it's an easier analysis. Are other people developing? Because, you could just learn a lot from those who've already done it. So in Bronkhorstspruit, are guys densifying stands? Are they building bachelor units? Who are these tenants? Where are they coming from? Is there a varsity or a mine nearby? Is there a new shopping mall? Who are the tenants? And what's the demand? So I urge you to, engage with us with a proposal. And you don't have to be a whole business plan, etc. Just, what is the opportunity? What have you seen? And one of our portfolio managers will drive to come meet with you and analyze the neighborhood where you want to propose the proposed structure. However, as it stands, Bronkhorstspruit is not an area of finance. And guys, when we made these areas of finance, we didn't want to open up to the entire South Africa because we want to be able to have this organic growth of building, neighborhoods one by one. So initially when uMaStandi started around 2018, at least our first loan in 2018, the research started way before then, we identified 3 neighborhoods, 3 townships. One in Cape Town, Khayelitsha. We did Soweto in Johannesburg, and Vosloorus Spruitview was another area that we focused on. And over the years, as the word has gotten out, as our brand has gotten out, we've opened up more offices, with the most recent offices in KZN. We've got an office in Durban. We also have an office both in East London and Gqeberha. So we're not available across the country as it stands. You can look on our websites, on our social media platforms for where we currently are available. But then also, if you want us to come to a neighborhood that isn't on that list, you need to justify your case study.
Thank you, Nqobi. We have Sitembile, and they say, I want 4 bachelor units. Is it too small?
Nothing's too small. Sitembile, nothing's too small. You know, on this, is it too small? So there's a part where uMaStandi finance up to 80%, particularly for your first deal. We will finance up to 80%. So if those 4 units cost 400,000 and we're willing to go and finance up to, say, 350,000 rands, you would need to come with the 50,000. So I'm almost answering your question in reverse, is that you work with what you can afford. If you only have 50,000 rands to contribute towards the project, we can't build a project worth 5 million rand, because then your 50,000 rand isn't enough equity contribution towards the deal. So 4 units is perfect if that's what you see fit for yourself. Maybe that's all your stand can allow. There's nothing wrong with 4 units. There's nothing wrong with starting off small and over time growing organically. So 4 units is not too small.
Thanks, Nqobi. Kabelo says, does Auckland Park in Braamfontein Worth fall under inner city and surrounds for tough?
1,000%. 1,000%. So if you have an opportunity, please feel free to speak with us. We currently finance in those areas, and we'll be willing to do your project too.
Perfect. Sia left another question, and he's asking, what is the qualifying criteria?
Hey, Sia's got his ducks in a row, eh? Sia looks like he's coming with an application soon. Sia, well, you know, because this is financial services, your credit score, your personal credit score, has to be in good standing. So ideally above 650 is your personal credit score. Needs to be above 650. If it's below 650, I'm not scaring you away. Come to us and tell us, you know, because there's multiple reasons why credit scores can be low. So credit score number 1, above 650. If it's below that, we will have we'll pull a credit report, and one of our colleagues will engage with you to further understand what's the history around that. If it's just due to bad lending, you didn't pay your telecom account for 2 years, you didn't pay Mr. Price home for 2 years, because whatever the reason may be, you know, that doesn't bode well when you now want to come ask for 1 million rands from us, because the main identification in looking in a credit score is how do you deal with your financial obligations with a monthly installment. Do you stand up and honor the agreement, or do you, when times get tough, flee? And look, life happens. You know, we sometimes lose work, we sometimes get retrenched, you get moved to a new neighborhood, whatever the case may be. We will need to understand particularly what's the problem. Okay, credit scores number 1. That's quite important. We have to get past the feasibility. Is the deal going to be able, is the rental income going to be able to pay your operating expenses as well as the uMaStandi installment and still leave you a profit? You have to come with a juristic entity, so we don't finance you directly in your name. You have to either help, and a juristic entity is either a company or a trust. If the company or trust have been trading, we will then need annual financials as well as management accounts for the company. But if the company is brand new, we would be willing to still do the deal without that information. But I would say those are, and then your equity contribution as well. Those are the 4 main lending criteria on our analysis. Feasibility, your equity contribution, are you lending in the right entity, so it's company or trust, and then what was the last one?
That's everything.
Is that everything? But so yeah, feel free to email us. You know, and that I'm giving you the key stuff. There's a lot more information that we look at. And your proposed structure, the zoning. Can we build what you want to do? So there's a lot more information we look at, but I'd say those are the main ones, those 4.
All right. Next question is from Fezo Kuhle. And he or she says, with funding, does it work like a bond finance? And if yes, after getting the funding, if it happens after a year or two, the landlord gets money, can the landlord settle the loan? So if it happens that they get more money, are they able to settle the loan quicker?
Can you settle the loan quicker?
Yes.
Look, so our loan term is for 15 years, our standard loan term. Should you, let's say that the installment is 10,000 Rand a month. If you pay 20,000 Rand a month towards the installment, it is not only servicing the current installment, that extra 10 goes towards your outstanding capital balance, which is reducing how much you borrowed. So the short answer is yes. If you pay more, you certainly will exit the deal faster. You will exit the lending faster. So it does work the same. It is a commercial mortgage, so it's still a bond. And if you maybe prepay 500,000 Rand, you're not going to now still take 15 years. Your loan amount has significantly reduced with the installment staying the same. And therefore, you'll exit sooner. So you can exit sooner by paying extra over time, or you get a lump sum of money and you make a further injection into the outstanding balance. That's fine. But the standard loan term is for 15 years. And if that's maybe a bit too long or too short for you, then you do have options. But guys, also you must see one of the key differences between a commercial loan and a home loan is that a commercial loan is based on the company's performance, versus a home loan looks at your personal income and expenses. The home loan's pricing will be different to a commercial loan because the criteria of getting the funds are different. So therefore, I think a lot of you, if you're familiar with home loans, they will be for 20 to 30 years, whereas commercial loans are typically 10 years. We offer a 15-year just to help in the cash flow positivity. When we do our feasibility, and when I say, is there enough income to pay the expenses as well as the bond, we want you to be left with at least 30% positive cash flow. So with that 15-year loan term versus a 10-year loan term, it makes your installment slightly smaller, therefore increasing the monthly positive cash flow.
Perfect. The next one is from Edith. And Edith says, I don't have an approved building plan for the rentals. Can I still apply?
Edith, can I ask you quickly to respond? Did you already build the property? Did you already build it? Quickly answer, Edith, quickly. Because I'll answer you two ways. Yes, the answer is yes. You can still apply, but me and yourself will have to go to the city and understand what's going on. So if you've already built the property and the building plans weren't approved, you can still get your as-built plans approved. So that's where what's existing on site currently, you go to the city, you say, hey guys, I would like to get my plans approved. The city's going to ask you whatever questions they ask, but you can still, just because you've built and your plans weren't approved, doesn't mean they can't get approved. You can still get them approved. And if you have a plan that's not approved and you haven't built, so this is another example. Let's say you have just a draft sketch, that's fine for us to still engage, still get a bill of quantities of how much is that project going to cost. You do need to submit it. And we need to get some correspondence from the city regarding your structure, that it is at least what do they call it? It's almost like a letter of intent that they've had a high-level review of your plan, and so far so good. You can also even build sometimes without approved plans, where you ask for a section 6.7, where your plans certainly it's in circulation at the city, but they do not foresee any issues based on the current design. Yes, so now they're leaving it to a matter of time. So they will even grant you support to proceed in construction because your plans, it will just be a matter of time. uMaStandi, you can come to us without a stamp on your plan. You do need to submit it, but in terms of planning the project and understanding how much we can lend, that's good enough.
Thank you, Nqobi. Nhlanhla has a question I believe you have answered previously, but they may not have heard. And Nhlanhla says, does the business have to have a credit track record in order to qualify for lending from uMaStandi?
So it depends if your business is brand new. If the business is brand new, the answer is no. But if your business has been trading, if you've been doing engineering, or I don't know, you're an architect and you charge people. So if your business has been trading, then yes, we do run a credit check on your business too, an experience report, and then we'll also need to assess the financial healthiness of the company. So are you insolvent or not? Insolvency being your liabilities are higher than your assets.
Perfect. The next one is from Dimakato, and she says, do I need to be working when I apply for uMaStandi?
That's a good one. That's a good one. No, you don't need to be working. Okay? It certainly helps if you do have formal employment or you are even self-employed and you can prove to us that you've got alternative income streams. But there's different types of projects that clients come with. You could maybe have lost your job, started a project, didn't have enough money to finish it. Your portfolio manager will come and assess the proposed deal, because we first also, guys, it's for us, what is priority is the property. Thereafter, we look at you as an applicant. We are a character-based lender, so who we lend to, being you the person, is very important, but we will first analyze the deal itself. How much does this thing need to be finished? What is the potential rental income? Who's going to be managing the property? And will you still be left with a profit? If that checks out, we can still do the deal. If you do or don't work, if you do work and you have alternative incomes, as a lender, it de-risks the project, because you are not only dependent on the property's income, but you also have alternative incomes to supplement should things go wrong. Anything can happen, guys. So when we are assessing the proposal, having alternative income, being formally employed, having your own business improves your deal. But we can do a deal where the client doesn't work, so long as the property is proper.
Okay, let's take a question from Abram, and he says, can I identify and buy from a family member who is a willing seller?
Yeah, simple, yes. Looking forward to it. Okay, guys, we will take 1 to 2 more questions, and then we will wrap up the first session, the inaugural session of season 2, Township Talks.
Okay, I think this is quite an important question, actually, also from Abram, and he says, can I apply if the title deed is in my late parents' name?
A fantastic question. So it has to be clear who the owner is when we do a deal. So Abraham, you do need to wind up the late estate. So the estate, if your deceased family members have outstanding liabilities, loans, and have certain assets, the magistrate will appoint an executor of the estate, and it has to be wind up, and the title deed needs to be in your name. We can't do a deal with people who don't own the property. You have to own the property, even if it's an inherited property. All the paperwork in the background needs to be cleaned up, and the title deed needs to be in your name if that's your circumstance, your scenario.
Perfect. We will take one more question before I hand over to you, Nqobi. I just want to remind everybody that we are available across all social media platforms. Feel free to follow us on YouTube. We are on YouTube as uMaStandi. We are on Instagram as well as uMaStandi. Right here on Facebook, this video will be available for you guys to come back and catch up on it. Otherwise, you're also welcome to email us. Our email address is info@umastandi.co.za. Our portfolio managers and our team is always available to assist. All right, Nqobi, one last question, and this is also quite important, from Tivato. And he says, do you finance outside Gauteng, for example, Mpumalanga or Limpopo?
Hey, why are you? So the answer is yes, we do. We are available in Gauteng, in the Eastern Cape, KZN, Western Cape. Those are the 4 provinces we're currently in. Mpumalanga and Limpopo, we actually have a lot of inquiries in Limpopo, to be honest, we do. And we don't have an office there yet. So it's hard for us to act on these deals at the current moment. But there is a lot of inquiries coming from Limpopo. We don't finance there yet, but I can see we can't hold off much longer the way the inquiries are coming in from that side. But to answer you, we are not available in Mpumalanga or Limpopo as yet. But I think that's a natural growth point for us to start financing that side. All right, guys. That's the last question. Buhle, thank you for joining me.
It was a pleasure.
You know, guys, as we said, this is the first episode of season 2. This is a monthly reoccurring session. You know, we've got a lot planned for you. So please pay attention to our social media platforms. Looking forward to the next one. Looking forward to more inquiries coming from this first session. Again, my name, Nqobi Malinga, Gauteng Portfolio Manager. Feel free to engage with me. Feel free to engage with anyone really from the office. Even if you don't get me, anyone will assist you. And yeah, guys, looking forward to these applications. Looking forward to helping you become uMaStandi, young and bad.